心灵清汤，让你心情阳光。So sunny.
Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the So Sunny podcast. How come today the broadcasters change again?
Different from last week? This is because we have 5 broadcasters from the English team and we are 2 of the 5. My name is Gladys.
And I'm Casey. And today we'll be focusing on the topic of how to survive in CMC.
How can we survive?
Okay, so to give some context, we are actually year 3 students currently pursuing and working on our final year project before we go off to internship, before we graduate. So looking back, do you miss year 1?
I really do miss year 1 because life was a lot more simpler at that point of time. In year 1, I would say, I guess to sum up everything, in year 1 it's really about getting to know yourself when you first came into the course.
Get to learn like the different like skills also. I think looking back, I think I remembered learning things like how to design, how to use the designing softwares, or like how to hold the camera even to like film and stuff.
Like really basic things in my opinion. And then when it comes to year 2, is using all these basic skills that you have learned and work on your bigger projects, larger projects like feature documentaries, actual video production.
I remember when we were in year 2, there was like an integrated project.
Yeah, we had an integrated project that was with radio production and video production. So we actually get to learn the front end and back end of how an entire setting works when it comes to recording in a studio, which I personally think that is something you really cannot really experience outside if you're not from a media company lah. So Chinese Media and Communication actually gives us an opportunity to do things like this and experience how is it like to be a working adult working in a studio.
Then like now we are in year 3, right? We are doing our final year project. We get to choose what we want to do. You can do either events, production. Your final year project is doing concert, right?
Yes, we are doing concert for our final year project, which is something very exciting in my opinion because you actually get to liaise with people from different companies, different organisers, your sponsors, your partners. So it really allows you to step out of your comfort zone, coming out to do things that you have never expected yourself to do in your life. So for yours, I heard that it's a social media campaign, which actually lies with marketing, correct?
Yeah.
CMC allows us to do a lot of things like brand storytelling and allowing us to market different things in our own ways, which I think is very interesting. So actually, on how to survive CMC, a few weeks ago, we actually sent out a Google form on how to survive CMC to our current CMC students, like our juniors, year 1 and year 2s, and even our year 3s batchmates. And we actually received quite a few responses on how much do they like this course, how much do they think that they will actually proceed on doing something like this in the future as a career. So today we'll be actually going through some of the
Interesting responses.
questions and we have actually received from this form itself.
So the first question that we asked them was, how much do you like this course through the years that you have been in CMC on a scale of 1 to 5?
So
You want to make a guess which is the highest one?
I think a lot of the CMC students will most likely say from 3 to 5, the range of 3 to 5.
3 to 5?
Because I don't think this is a very disliked course in my opinion. There are a lot of interesting things to discover and that's why I think the range would be around 3 to 5.
Close. So our highest number was a 42.9% on the level 4 range. I think, right, level 4 is quite a high number actually, like to like this course, if you think about it.
So what will you range it from 1 to 5? This is a dead question.
I think I also fall in the majority. I think this course really allows me to explore and touch on and have like a lot of different opportunities and experiences. I mean, there are definitely things I do not like about this course.
But I think people will put 4 to 5 also because we have great lecturers, in my opinion. Lecturers that are willing to help, willing to guide, and are good supporters at the end of the day when it comes to doing assignments also. So the next question that we actually asked them was how have they been surviving in CMC thus far? And we actually have 64.3% of the respondents replying of barely surviving. Are you sure you're barely surviving? I feel a lot of them are actually surviving, in my opinion. But it's just that how much do they feel that they are surviving with the assignments, with the time management of how can they better do their projects, in my opinion. Yeah, so how have you been surviving?
How have I been surviving?
Are you also barely surviving?
I feel like I have been surviving this course. I think I'm floating. I think I'm able to, there's a lot of like assignments that we need to like manage, but I think I'm able to complete them by the deadlines.
So I think surviving this course, it comes down to not only just meeting the deadlines, but it also whether are you enjoying what you're doing. That is something I personally think is very important when it comes to surviving. So I guess everyone may have different opinions on how they are surviving, but I hope if you are the 64.3% of people, I hope you'll survive at the end of the day. Okay, so leading on from surviving itself, we also asked another question: how important is it to y'all for getting good grades in this course? So, do you think it's important to you?
I think getting good grades is definitely important. Like it depends on where you want to go lah. Like you want to go uni or you want to just go and work. But I think what is most important is to do your best. Even if you do not get a desired grade, I think it's still okay. But in your perspective, what is good grades?
Good grades, I would say for courses like media itself, it's the definition of good grades are very generic because everyone has different perspective on what is good looking. So example, things like design. Not everyone will think that your design is great. And even if you think that your design is great, maybe your lecturers like your design. So the definition of good grades is very hard to define when it comes to media courses. And therefore, I think getting good grades, in my opinion, if you feel that it's able to get good grades for you, you have to ask yourself whether are you able to appeal to what your teacher like. That is another thing also. So
No leh, but actually I don't really agree leh. I feel like we shouldn't like complete a certain thing just because to favor that specific teacher, or like you complete this task in terms of how much they would like. I feel like when we are doing an assignment, we should do it in a way where we ourselves
like
enjoy and like the thing. Like for example, maybe design, maybe when you're designing a magazine, maybe this style is like your thing, but maybe that's not something that your lecturer likes. But do you want to change your style just because the lecturer don't like?
No, but I feel you don't have to really stick on, or you shouldn't have a fixated mind when it comes to media courses, because you have to be flexible with people's comments. I guess this is when it comes to having your own stand, but also taking in good feedbacks and constructive feedback, in my opinion. Because at the end of the day, again, it is still your project, your own design. So yes, you should still keep your own personal elements inside, but you can also take in some of the feedback that is given by the lecturers, in my opinion. Then this will enable us to get the good grades that we are talking about right now. And it also favors you because you feel that this is a project that you're proud of. Because at the end of the day, if you really do something that only favors the teacher or but is well liked by the teacher, it's not something that you are proud of also, because you did not actually create this. You are only doing this because some people like it. So it's important, but getting good grades, again, coming back to the question, I guess it is important to everyone to a certain extent, but can we maintain the good grades is also another question.
Very hard actually.
Yeah, so with that, you can head over to Process and Product in our previous episode to know more about it. Okay, coming back over here, we have how likely are you going to pursue a career in media? So we actually have, out of the 100%, we have 42.9% of people and above would most likely pursue a career in media. I think having this result is actually quite
Happy lah.
yeah, happy, but it's also expected because there are also people who actually enter into this course, they already know that they want to do a media related career. So definitely this is something that they would most likely pursue in. Yeah, a stepping stone also for them. Yeah, but there's definitely people that will have, after they join, then they'll be like, oh, actually, maybe I'm not meant for media itself. So we did have people who say they most likely will not pursue a media career, and we do respect that because it actually takes a lot of time to know that this is something that you don't really like.
So are you going to pursue a career in media?
Of course I am.
Oh, really? Choose already?
Haven't choose yet. Still thinking. But internship wise, I think it's a good stepping stone again to allow you to explore whether you really, really like media, because this is your time to step out and touch on media stuff in real life and outside of school. So
in our survey, we actually asked them what are some common challenges that they face like in surviving in CMC, and we have come up with 3 most frequent ones. So the first one is actually on time management with our external commitments. How do you feel about that?
External commitments, when it comes to school-wise, yes, definitely it's very important when it comes to time management, because everyone, besides coming to school for school, I think it's important to also have an outside commitment, which is like your CCA, which also allows us to boost your portfolio. But with that keeping in mind, you also need to know that at the end of the day, you're a student before anything else. So you have to know how to manage your time properly and leave some time for your assignments, because these are the things that will define you at the end when you graduate from Polytechnics. So I heard that Casey have quite a bit of commitments. So how has it been like managing your time with your outside commitments and academic wise?
I think it's honestly quite difficult. Okay, so for context, I am in 2 CCAs in NP, and I do have my own part-time job, and I do some volunteering work, besides my academics. That is quite a handful, I feel. But I think it's really on choosing and prioritizing what you like, and like have only this amount of time, and you need to choose what you can do. You should really like carefully decide what you want to do, and ultimately, as what you said, we are still students, so we still need to place emphasis on our academics.
So it comes down to priorities lah. Yeah. So with this frequent problem or challenge that one of our respondents did mention, which is the time management wise, I guess an advice for you is to really think about what are your priorities and rank your priorities out. Within these 3 years, I would say at least prioritize your studies, because you never know whether after this will you be going straight out to work, or will you continue your studies to universities. So just take this time to really prioritize your studies. But I'm not telling y'all, I guess we're not advising y'all to really just focus on studies and not take out any CCs, because I think CCs are also important when it comes to boosting your portfolio.
Or getting experiences to put yourself out there, I feel.
Yeah, so but also with having outside commitments, which will lead you to our second challenge, which is on heavy workloads. Because heavy workloads wise, this will come in with things like aspects like heavy workloads from assignments, heavy workloads from different other commitments. So but then the heavy workloads that we're talking about right now is on assignments, and how can we better manage tight deadlines? Because we do realize that a lot of our assignments are all packed up at one period of time, which is nearer to the end of the semester.
Yeah. You got hear or not? Like the CMC no sleep week.
A lot of teachers actually did mention to us from day one that it's a rumor. Whether is it a rumor is for y'all to find out and for y'all to discover. Yeah, I mean, for me itself, I would say CMC no sleep week is a rumor for me, because I honestly am someone who thinks that sleep is very important when it comes down to time management. I definitely will leave time for me to sleep, and I don't think that staying overnight to do your work is very productive, because it is productive, but it is not productive to me lah. So that's why I would say for me it's a no. No matter how much I'm lacking behind, I will make sure one day before I have completed my assignment, so that I will send in. So I think the latest assignment that I've sent in was like a few hours before the deadline. Yeah, so I don't really encourage people to do it last minute, because a lot of our deadlines are 2359.
True.
Last time, like previously, before the current this year one, because this year now a lot of things are changed, and then they change it to 5 p.m. Yeah, which I think I'm quite appreciative of to a certain extent lah, because you're
forced to like complete your assignments early, and like
before that,
instead of like waiting until like 2359 and like, not sleep.
I heard there are still people like when you put 5 p.m. right, they will really stay up overnight. Yeah, so there are definitely people who will do that, and they will think that it's more productive. But I think CMC no sleep week, it comes down to whether do you want to start your project early. Yeah, because when you start your project early, it gives you more time to do what you want to do. But the thing is, if you like to procrastinate, you will have to end up doing projects at 12 a.m. And then you have to just drag on from 12 a.m. all the way to the next morning. And then you'll say, oh, I didn't sleep last night. But what do you do before 12 a.m.? Watching your phone, right?
You know what? You want to know one piece of fun fact about procrastination?
What's the fun fact?
You know, right? People say procrastination is like a fear. It's because you don't dare to face this fear. It's like an unconscious fear.
It is I think to a certain extent. But I think for the current generation, a lot of people like to procrastinate, even myself. Yeah, so I always tell myself, okay, I'm going to start in another 30 minutes because I'm going to scroll TikTok for a while. But then after that, right, I'll realize that I'll scroll TikTok for the next 2 hours and then I'll not start. Yeah, because procrastination will cause you to have a lot of implications afterwards, which that's why I said CMC no sleep week. It can be a rumor, but it can also be a
very
fact
true
for a lot of people. Yeah, for different people lah. So different people have different priorities at the end of the day. And then
leading on to our next common challenge is to having a constant need to step out of our comfort zone. In our response, he or she actually shared that as media students, there's always a constant pressure to do like presentations or to reach out to different people to interview them for different content. So what is your take on this?
I think it is something that is not avoidable. Yeah, it's something that we as media practitioners will have to be able to do so. I used to not be a very loud person, but ever since I came in, I realized that I had to do a lot more things to step out of my comfort zone. And I realized that at the end of the day, in these 3 years, you are going to learn and improve yourself from talking to your friends to talking to your sponsors to organizations. So this is why CMC actually trains us. I don't think it's just CMC, but even courses like business. It actually trains you to talk to people outside, how you pitch yourself, and comes to personal branding. So stepping out of your comfort zone allows us to set an image or create an image to our interviewees that we want to interview, to our clients that we want to pitch to. And these are the things that I feel is very important when it comes to learning. And again, when we are graduating this diploma, we have to be proud that we have learned a lot of things from it lah. So it is important lah to my take is that there is a constant need to step out of your comfort zone. But I do know that documentary feature production. You also have to we all have to step out also. So how about let you share with us what's your most memorable experience of stepping out of the comfort zone?
To share about one of my assignments, I think my most memorable one was on a multimedia story where we needed to write our own article, to film our own stories, and to edit the story out. So the topic I chose was about music, was about Chinese and Western music. So I had to approach a director of a music company. It was kind of scary at first because he was the CEO and I didn't know how to approach him. And you want to know what I resorted to? I couldn't find anything else. I couldn't find his phone number or email. So I decided to DM him on Instagram, thinking that he would not reply me. But he did
Okay, actually DM on Instagram is something quite common after a while because you realize that these bigger companies or like these big private individuals, they actually don't have a phone number or email address for you to reach out to. So actually, if you realize, right, one of the contact approach would be through Instagram. And it's very effective for some of the people.
Correct.
So that is something that a lot of CMC students can start to take in mind when it comes to doing your FYP project also. Yeah, but again, for constant need of stepping out of your comfort zone, you have to know that you have to be fearless of rejection because you will receive rejections along the way. Oh, I don't want to interview. I don't want to share my story. So you need to know that okay, they don't want to do. So what is the next approach now? So when you have a plan A, you should be able to think forward and have a plan B. Don't dwell too much on the rejection that you received, but how about seeing it in a positive way and work towards like, oh, maybe I'll get a better interviewee. I might even get a stronger story after even if this person doesn't want to.
It's really more about like trying and to push yourself to be out there instead of being afraid of like the setbacks that you are
keep
facing.
Trying. Yeah, it's on keep trying in my opinion. Yeah, so again, I guess stepping out of your comfort zone, these are the things that we have received. Stepping out of comfort zone, time management and heavy workloads. So also with challenges, we have also asked for advices from our respondents. So the first piece of advice that we received from our respondents was appreciate every hour of sleep.
Is it important, right?
Very important to me. It's very important to me.
Yes lah, I think it's very important lah. Sleep. I will always try to sleep.
Try to sleep is in how long do you sleep? 3 hours?
No lah, I got sleep 5 to 6 hours. Previously, before I stepped into poly, my sleeping time was like 11 p.m. 12. But even though now I sleep at 1 a.m, I still make sure that I sleep. Because I think it's very important to have sufficient sleep to wake up the next day feeling fresh even, or like awake. Because I feel like as media students, we need to be alert, we need to be observant, we need to be presentable. I feel like it's disrespectful to come into class being tired and not being able to focus during class, because it's disrespectful to the teachers, it's also disrespectful to yourself, because you're coming to class to learn something, but if you're tired, how can you learn?
Yeah, because I think the best kind of comparison we can have is our teachers also have a lot of things on their hands, but they will never come to class showing that they are tired. It links back to appreciate every hour of sleep. Our lecturers also may have insufficient sleep, but
They never show it to us.
Yeah, they do present themselves, and for this piece of advice, appreciating every hour of sleep will lead us to better brand ourselves and show ourselves, display ourselves to people that we want to
Reach out to.
Yeah, correct lah.
I think appreciating every hour of sleep also links to the next point of useful advice, which is to start your assignments early. Starting our assignments early is important, but how much can we as students start our assignments early?
I've always wanted to start my assignments early, but sometimes I understand that the teachers haven't gone through the assignment descriptor yet, so you really don't know what other things that is needed for you to do various assignments. So we understand, but what we meant by starting your assignment early is on when should you start your assignment early, right after the assignment descriptor is explained. Because we do realize that after assignment descriptor I explained, less than half the class continue that will do their assignments immediately.
I think it's more relatable to year ones, where in year one we have more individual assignments that we need more research on to do more writing on our own. But where I feel like when it comes to year two, where we have more hands-on assignments or projects that we have to work together in like pairs or in groups, like for example, like when you have to record a podcast or you have to record a video, you can't start last minute.
Yeah.
You cannot edit this.
You really cannot, because you have to think about context, like when are you going to schedule your time with your interviewees? Whether are the interviews available for your allocated time? So starting the assignments early enables you to plan out the entire timeline and gives you a last minute backup plan. So if your interviewee last minute cannot make it, are you able to find another interviewee last minute?
Do you have room for like improvements?
Correct. So if you start your assignment late, you can only stick to the emergency plan, and you have no other ways and no other last minute backup plan when it comes to things like this. So it's very important, especially for year two.
I think I got a very tragic experience on this.
Share.
It's super tragic. So right, I think last year there was this assignment where we needed to film like a hawker story. So we needed to find our interviewee. So actually I started that assignment quite early, I would say. I approached quite a few people, but most of them just rejected me, or they say that they're not free lah. So but what also happened at that point of time was Red Camp. So the deadline and Red Camp was back to back.
Yeah, it was back to back.
It was back to back.
Correct.
So because of the lack of the interviewee, I'm not able to complete the interview before I started Red Camp. So I could only do the assignment after Red Camp. And I only had like 1 to 2 days to edit.
Correct. Because Red Camp last year was like 22nd and 23rd. And then the deadline was 26th. Around there. So yeah, correct. I understand what you mean.
Yeah. So like I did not get a very good grade, but I do understand why. It's because it was a last minute thing, and for filming and editing, you really, really cannot last minute. You cannot like make things out of nowhere, I feel.
Correct. So I guess that's why you have to start like what the previous one said, like on constant need to step out of your comfort zone and just exploring the world, challenging yourself. Challenge yourself that you already know that this is a challenge. You make sure that, okay, I know that this is a challenge, I'm going to work it out, I'm going to find a plan. So when you realize that there is a problem, you should find a solution for yourself and not dwell with the problem, because this is not a healthy way of thinking. Because you shouldn't have a mindset that, oh, this is a problem, I'm telling my lecturer that this is a problem, but what is the solution? Okay, you need to have a mindset that your lecturers are only there to analyze your solution, and they are not there to think about your solution for you.
They can give you advice, but they cannot give you the solution.
Yes, so this is something that I think a lot of people should start knowing, and it also works the same when you go out to actual real life companies where you give your boss a problem. The boss is not going to give you. The boss is not. It's not supposed to help you think of a solution. You should have a solution planned out for the problem, and then you have him to think. Have your boss to think whether is this solution feasible. Yeah, so this is something I guess an advice. It is okay to
be unsure of the future.
Because exploring the world is actually something very adventurous, exciting, but can be very scary. Because how much are you going to explore the world? Because the world is this big. It's very big. There's so many people in the world. It comes down to whether you can visualize what we mean. Yeah, so slowly, we are not trying to tell you that you should go out right now. That's why we say from year 1 it's about knowing yourself. Year 2 is getting to use these
skills and challenges.
And then year 3 you'll really step out of your comfort zone and go ahead, move ahead. So these are the little things, phases in life, phases in CMC that you will go through so that you can really explore the world at the end of the day yourself.
So how was your experience as a media student so far?
Media itself is really not about grades, but really on experience, because experiences really matters the most. You can get amazing grades with people that never rejected you. But have you thought about if you actually experience rejection, you'll know that, this is how I'm going to encounter it next time. How I'm going to counter my rejections and how I'm going to counter the fear of getting rejected. Again, experiences are very important when it comes to media. Yeah, so whichever module or aspect of media that you score well in, I guess it's not really important.
I think it doesn't define you.
Correct,
Define you.
Doesn't define what you should do in the future.
I think CMC is really a broad-based media course where you really get to touch on many different aspects of media, from production, journalism to marketing. But what you score well in might not be something that you like. What you don't do well in might actually be something that you like. So personally, from my own experience, I don't actually score very well for production-related modules. But through the years I've been in CMC, I realized that being in production, doing production-related stuff is something that makes me happy. And that's something that I want to pursue in the future. Well, on the other hand, I also have friends that they have very good GPA, but they can straight up tell me that they are no longer going to pursue a career in media.
Okay, can. Yeah, so it's really... Again, you have to ask yourself what you really like, because CMC really offers you a lot of options, but you are the one deciding the option at the end of the day. You are making the choice, and when you are the one making the choice, you have the decision call. So your future lies in your hands, but not saying that you will be defined or you will be fixed to whatever you're deciding right now. You can still be uncertain at year 3 because you're not sure whether are you going to excel in this.
Taking the first step to try, at least you know what you don't like.
Yeah, correct. So I guess it's something that you can constantly ask yourself throughout these 3 years. So just now we're talking about other people's advice, right? So what is your piece of advice for our CMC juniors?
My piece of advice, I think, is to really take these 3 years in poly or in CMC to really discover and explore about what you really like about media. I think throughout this whole episode, we have been touching on we learn a lot of things about media, but what do you actually like about media? So most people, after you graduate from poly, is either to go out to work or to pursue a degree in university. But maybe when you go into uni, you realize that you don't want to do media anymore. You want to study Chinese, you want to study business. I think that's totally fine, because you have discovered that is something that you want to pursue. But at the same time, maybe if you want to go out and work, you also need to choose which aspect of media ma. So if you have found out what you want, what is your direction, then maybe when you go out to work, you can better place yourself or better source out what kind of jobs you want, what kind of jobs you want. Then what about you?
My piece of advice is quite different from yours. Mine is more on being able to find the right company through this process, or somehow through these 3 years in CMC. Because when you have a right company around you, you'll be able to grow well and be able to become a better version of yourself when it comes to approaching people. when it comes to approaching people, when it comes to being receptive to feedbacks. Because when you have when you're a bunch of people who are very complacent, they will take in a lot of things very sensitively, and they will think that the teachers or people who comment on them are just attacking them, which they don't really find a problem in themselves, but it comes down to they find the problem in others, which is not healthy lah. So I think for you to really grow in this scenario and grow in this environment is to really find the right company of people that will encourage each other, people that really thinks that grades, yes, is important, but the process is also very important. So it's not really just grades driven, but it's also passion driven and
having fun while learning stuff.
Correct. So in that way, you will be able to enjoy this process even more, in my opinion. Yeah. So with that, with our last piece of advice from us, we have almost come to the end of our entire series for today. So again, we would like to re-emphasize that take these 3 years to find your passion, find the right company, and knowing that
Year 1 is about getting to know yourself. Year 2 is about getting to use these skills to like really do different projects. And in Year 3, is about showcasing your talents and to really work on a project that you are really interested in.
Yep, and with that, we have come to the end of today's episode of How to Survive in CMC. But right, I actually had insider info of next week's episode.
Next week, I think it's National Day.
Yeah, it's National Day, and beside apart from doing the normal Chinese and English podcast only, we'll be doing something very special. In my opinion, we are going to use Singlish to converse in the entire episode because we are Singaporeans. But yeah, so next week's episode will be quite interesting. So do stay tuned for that because I think it's something that we personally want to let people know that our podcast really reaches out to CMC students and also Singaporeans. So, see you next week! Bye!
心灵清汤，让你心情阳光。